Hey everybody, what's up? Sean Hatzel here with Get Lean After 40. And if you're in your 40s, 50s, or 60s, and you're using intermittent fasting, you're thinking about using intermittent fasting, or you just want to learn more about it, pay close attention, because inside this video, I'm going to share how people over 40 should use intermittent fasting, also known as TRF, time restricted feeding, to quickly metabolize fat cells and to reset weight management hormones. Now, if you didn't know it already, intermittent fasting is one of the most searched dietary methods on the internet right now, right behind three of today's most popular diets: the keto diet, the paleo diet, and the plant-based vegan vegetarian diets. And that's what I love about intermittent fasting, and why I personally have used it for the last 10 plus years to stay in amazing shape. You can see the progress pictures over at my website. Is that you can use it in conjunction with any of today's most popular diets to accelerate your results. But if you're over 40 years old, you need to be aware that the keto, paleo, and the plant-based diet can cause nutritional deficiencies that lead to a rapid hormonal decline. Now, if you go over to my website, I'm going to explain all the scientific research behind this, and I'm also going to share 3 simple steps that you can use to overcome these nutritional deficiencies and this hormonal decline, so you can still get all the amazing benefits if you want to try any of these 3 diets. And I highly recommend you use it in conjunction with intermittent fasting. So what is fasting and how does it work? Well, fasting works by ramping up your sympathetic nervous system. I apologize about the background noise here. I'm by a busy road. And that is your fight or flight response. So when you're in a fasted state, your body's fight or flight response kicks up really high. It's almost like you're mimicking the same effect as if you saw a bear in the woods. If you saw a bear in the woods, you're going to freak out, you're going to take off running as fast as you can. That's going to kick up your fight or flight response. So you're mimicking that response. And when you do that, it has a profound effect on your hormones. I'm going to share more about that in just a second. But if you're a newbie, the best way to do this is just to use a 12-hour fast to start with, like Monday through Friday. You have your last meal, let's say, at 8 p.m., you go to bed a couple hours later, you sleep all night, you wake up, you have your first meal at 8 a.m. That's a 12-hour fast, and you're sleeping the majority of that fast. Now, the benefits are going to improve if you extend that fast out. And I'm going to share 3 different methods you can use in just a second, so you can pick the one that's best based on your lifestyle. But understand, when you're in this fasting window, the effect on your hormones is amazing. Now, I'm going to make some claims right now, and I want you to know they're all substantiated by the latest scientific research studies that you'll learn about over at my website. So when you're in this fasted state, if you fast for the right amount of time, you can increase growth hormone levels up to 1,000% higher than normal. And this is critical for our longevity. The second hormone is adrenaline. So when their fight or flight response kicks up, your adrenal glands release adrenaline. Well, while you're in the fasted state, adrenaline converts into hormones called catecholamines. These catecholamines are responsible for releasing fat cells into your bloodstream, where they're delivered to working muscles and or liver tissue to be burned off as a fuel source. The third hormone is ghrelin, and ghrelin levels are stabilized and lowered when you're in a fasted state. And ghrelin is responsible for hunger and cravings. Now, most people think that if you're in a fasted state, that your hunger and your cravings are going to go up and your metabolic rate's going to slow down. And science now shows the exact opposite happens. When you're in a fasted state, metabolic rate increases and you regulate ghrelin to eliminate your hunger and your cravings. And the last hormone is insulin. Insulin is very low when you're in a fasted state because you're not eating. You're just having water, black coffee, or just green tea. No sweeteners, no creamers or anything like that, because otherwise you could, ruin the hormonal effect of this. But remember, anytime you eat food, especially carbohydrates, you spike insulin levels or you raise insulin. And in the presence of high insulin levels, it's impossible for your body to metabolize fat cells as a fuel source. You can see the synergistic effect of all 4 of these hormones is profound. Now, what's very, very important is how you end your fast. So the first meal that you eat after fasting, it's very important how you combine that meal. And I share more about that over at my website. Also, when you're getting ready to start your fast at night, so you have your last meal of the day later in the evening, it's really, really important. There's one specific macronutrient you need to have in that meal that will increase your results of the fasting window. And I share more about that over at my website. But let's talk about the different methods of fasting so that you can pick one that best matches your lifestyle. The first one is the 24-hour fast done 1 or 2 times per week only, no more. Now, I'm not a fan of the 24-hour fast because it's longer, and yes, after about 16 to 18 hours, you're probably going to get some hunger and cravings, especially if you're not used to doing it. Now, after a couple weeks of doing it, it'll go away. But I'm not really a fan of this method. However, if you go on a bender and you have a cheat day, or you just accidentally fall off track and you binge for a day, using a 24-hour fast afterwards is an amazing strategy because your hormones have been primed to metabolize more fat cells. You see, when you have these high-carb cheat meals, you raise insulin, you do raise insulin, but you also raise leptin and thyroid hormones. So it primes your body to quickly metabolize more fat cells the next day when you fast. Now, this isn't an excuse to binge, but it is a great strategy to use. So if I have an off day where I fall off track and I go on a bender and I binge too much, then I usually will do a 24-hour fast. And this usually happens about once every 1 or 2 months. Now, if you want to and you really like 24-hour fast because it has profound effects on your growth hormone and other hormones, use it just 1 or 2 times per week. Method 2 is to fast 18 to 20 hours 2 or 3 times per week. This is my favorite method. I do have a lot of muscle mass, so I don't like fasting more than 4 or 5 days per week. So 18 to 20 hours 2 to 3 times per week. So I'll have my last meal, say, at 8 p.m., and I won't break my fast the next day until 2 or 3 p.m. All right. The next method is method number 3, and this is more for beginners, is to a 12 to 14-hour fast 5 to 7 days a week if you're a woman, because your hormones are different. And if you're a man, you can extend that out to 14 to 16 hours. Now, I recommend you stay towards 14 and 16 hours on this if you're a newbie. And if you're a female, you don't want to use any more than a 14-hour fast more than 5 days of the week. You could still use a 16, 18, 20, or 24-hour fast. Just only do it about 2 or 3 times per week because research shows it could possibly negatively affect your hormone levels. Now, over at my website, you're going to see all the latest scientific research studies behind these different methods of intermittent fasting. I'm going to teach you a 3-step method that will allow you to follow any of today's most popular diets that you can use: meal timing, meal combinations, and strategic high-carb cheat meals at the right time every week, to use any of today's crash diets to overcome the deficiencies, to overcome the rapid hormone decline that takes place. It's all over at my website. It's called the Over 40 Hormone Reset Diet. Just in time. Thanks for watching, and God bless.